Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Jackson, and I will be taking you through the strategic marketing analysis and overview for the computer company I created, which is MicroCPX. We will go through our analysis of our results. We will look at market trends. We will look at benchmarking and best practices, as well as calibration for future. So let's dive right in. The first slide we want to talk about is voice of the customer, and that's basically our current customer values all markets. The cost cutter market values affordability and functionality in that order. The traveler market values portability, functionality, and affordability in that order. The innovator market values technology and business software options. The workhorse market values reliability, speed, and business software options. And the Mercedes market values new features, high quality, and laptop screen options. Here is a sample of the voice of the customer, basically what the customer is telling us they want based on brand judgment in Americas. And we'll do a deep dive right into this. So as you can see, there's different these are segregated differently based on customer satisfaction results. So let's dig into this a little bit more. So for micro CPS, our target groups were the cost cutter group and the traveler group. And these were the three laptop options that we initially sent out. And as you can see, we didn't do the best job with the cost cutter group, which was our initial target market. Ideally, you'd want to score a 70 or higher to say that you captured the market and done a very good job as far as marketing, advertising, and cultivating your market. However, with the traveler group, those same three laptops did very well. So it seems like our marketing analysis actually tells us that even though the laptops were intentionally marketed towards the cost cutter groups, we actually did a better job of marketing towards the traveler groups. So let's do a little analysis of the prior quarter's performance. Micro CPX seems to appeal very well to the traveler market, as we saw from the past slide, but did not seem to do so well with the cost cutter market, despite being the most affordable brands on the market. So we basically had our three laptop models priced well under our competition, yet we still failed to hit that target market. This is due to the fact that the three computer options were not properly marketed during the initial advertisement phase, and more emphasis was placed on long-term marketing efforts than on short-term sales. So we did a great job of investing into the future, as we'll get into, but we did not do a good job of cornering the market. The three models were also marketed across two different markets. The advertising efforts should have been more narrow in scope. Again, this goes back to we should have been making laptops specific for each market as opposed to making three laptops that we were trying to do well in both markets with. So how do we remedy the marketing efforts to increase sales and profitability going forward? First off, we want to increase available models to market from 3 models to 5 models in Q7. So again, going from 3 models across 2 different markets to having models specific for each market is key. We created the 5 new models. We also added appropriate options for each according model. So instead of having extra software applications in for our cost cutter models, or at least one of them, we may have taken that out for one model to keep the price as low as possible, and vice versa for our travelers. Modify advertising campaign for each model, making them more direct to the type of computer. A good example of this is our cost cutter brands will focus more on price, and the traveler brands will prioritize portability. So that's one of the things we sort of failed to do, and we'll kind of dig into that as far as our advertising campaign goes. We may have mentioned some of these matrix, but we did not do a good job as far as leading with those. Increase frequency of flyer advertisements in strategic publications while decreasing the overall quantity of flyers. Again, we're going more narrow in focus and scope and intent. I ended up reducing the amount of overall flyers, but I ended up diversifying. I had them in more publications to market towards, our two segments accordingly. We ended up opening new sales offices in the emerging market, which is the APAC market. So we basically cornered that market as far as sales offices go. We now have an office in all 4 locations in the APAC. Train sales staff and add support staff. Modify cost accordingly. Keep costs constant with cost cutter brands, but appropriately increase costs for traveler market. I think this is a big one. When we got our feedback from our customer surveys and our scorecard, we saw that we did a very good job as far as keeping costs down. Again, we were trying to hit 2 different markets with the same cost. So when we go more narrow in scope, we're able to appropriately cost our models. How do the proposed changes compare to the top brands in the cost cutter market? I think this is a very good example. So on the left we have the Puma Quick 2000, which we ended up renaming and calling it the Cost Slasher X. And that's kind of indicative of our marketing plan. We definitely want to go after that cost cutter market. And when we do that, we want to make sure that our models are appropriately named as well as appropriately priced. So with this one, the price comes in at a nice $2,700, which is very competitive to our competition. We offer a $50 rebate on this one. It comes with multiple office applications, auto backup system, and a high capacity hard drive. And so when you look at the second highest rated model in that market, their price is pretty close to the same, $2,639. However, there was no rebate offered. It also came with multiple office applications, just like ours does. And there's no auto backup system, but it also has a high capacity hard drive. So here is a good example of how we are calibrating to increase our market share. We have renamed the laptop. We have priced it accordingly. We are offering rebates as an incentive to drive excitement at the customer level. And we have more options than the competitors. We have the auto backup system. Moving on, here's a good example of the advertisement for the Cost Slasher X. So before we were doing a better job of mentioning our brand name and trying to gain market recognition. However, when we calibrated and we revised our advertisements, we decided to go with mentioning price first. I feel like this is going to be more effective as far as targeting our desired market. Easy to use, simple design, showing the office environment. Again, all of those are in supplementation to mentioning the price first. Increase focus on our best market. So we've talked about the cost cutter market and how we want to increase our presence there, but more importantly, we want to increase focus on our best market, which is the traveler market. We've already done pretty well in this market, but we want to raise those feedback scores a little bit more and do a better job as far as trying to corner that market. One of the ways we're doing that is by creating specific models to target this industry, as previous models were used for this industry but were built for and targeted to the cost cutter market. So now again we're going more narrow in scope. We've created laptops that are deliberately built and marketed to this market, and this is the first time I've done this. We've also modified the advertisements to appeal to the traveler market for new models. So we've created 2 new models, the Travel Buddy X and the Travel Buddy S. We've created a new ad campaign, and now we are deliberately targeting that target market. We've increased the cost to remain more competitive in current and emerging markets, as opposed to keeping the cost very low in this market. Now we'll keep the cost very low in the cost cutter market. Those laptops have less options, of course. And then lastly, we've added options to the traveler laptops to increase customer satisfaction and drive those excitement levels. I think all of these are key as far as cornering this traveler market. So sales offices, we've done a good job as far as the Americas go. We had an office open in each major city, and that was deliberate. We were trying to do what we can to increase segmentation. As far as the APAC market, we had 2 cities where we did not have any locations. That was Mumbai and Sydney, and the plan was to go ahead and open sales offices in those 2 cities as they were identified as emerging markets. Kind of hard to see, but here's our current staffing for new product and marketing campaigns. So you can see we did a very good job as far as staffing both the Chicago and Mexico City areas, and then we've started to build our sales staff in the Toronto and Sao Paulo, and again in Tokyo and Shanghai. So what are we doing to increase our market presence, increase our market awareness? We are opening sales office, and we've increased staffing as far as support staff. We opened sales offices in Mumbai and Sydney. Micro CPX now has an open office in every major city of both sales regions, America and APAC. Provided sales staffing, training, and support to the 2 new offices. Market research indicates a good market for our product lines in both the Mumbai and Sydney markets. We now have the greatest amount of sales staff coverage in both regions, ensuring the support system is in place for the projected increase in growth over the upcoming quarters. Again, we've done a great job as far as investing in the future. Now it's time to deliberately market towards those segments. So past performance versus future projections. Again, we haven't done the best job when it comes to total market share. You can see there we're at 3%. The cost cutter market, we did a very poor job. We were under 1% of the market, so we need to do a better job of marketing to that market. The traveler market, 13% of the market, which is fairly good, but we definitely want to increase our presence there. I think based on the results that I've seen, there's a lot of potential in that market, so we need to put more eggs into that basket. So our future projections is, now that we've diversified our product line and we've become more narrow in scope with our product line in our advertising campaign, in our marketing campaign, I can see our total market share going up to 18.5% in the future quarters, which is more of an appropriate level based on competition in the industry. That includes a 12% future projection in the cost cutter market. Again, when we are appropriately pricing our laptops and our desktops, and we are modifying our advertising campaigns, I believe it's going to supplement this and it's going to support this. The traveler market, we are looking to double in growth, and that's a very realistic number, 25%. I believe we can and should be the industry leader in the travel market based on customer feedback, based on market segmentation, as well as our advertising campaign and the new product line to support that. So overall past market performance, here's a snippet, and you can see that we did a great job as far as investing in the firm's future, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit as far as opportunity goes. So total performance, we definitely did not do the best in the market. Overall, we led the industry in the firm's future, and no additional capital will be needed for the next few quarters for research and development, etc. A dramatic increase is needed and expected in regards to overall performance, with specific focus on financial performance and marketing efforts, as well as the creation of wealth. And lastly, how do we remedy the marketing efforts to increase sales and profitability? We went through this slide before, and again, it's basically increasing the amount of models that we have, specifically marketing to those market segments, modifying our advertising campaign for each model to make them more deliberate and more direct, increase the frequency of flyer advertisements. I think we'll be hitting a more broad range at that point. We'll be marketing to more people, which is what we want. We still want to market to that specific segment, but again, getting our name out there, becoming more known in the industry. Opening the new sales offices in an emerging market is a key for us, as well as training our new sales staff and support staff. And most importantly is modifying the cost, keeping costs constant for With the cost cutter brands, it's appropriately cost, but modifying it for the traveler market. And that's it.